Most people are not living. They're simply waiting for their funeral while occupying a body that is rotting from the inside out. You think you need a year to change your life? You are wrong. You only need 7 days of absolute cold-blooded surgery on your daily habits. Stoicism isn't about reading dusty books. It's about tactical warfare against your own weakness. For the next week, we are stripping away the comfort that has made you soft. I am not here to motivate you. I am here to wake you up. If you cannot control your actions for 7 measly days, you have no right to complain about your fate. The contract begins now. 7 days, 7 habits, no excuses. But before you commit, you must face the first lie you tell yourself every single morning. Because your current wake-up routine is actually a masterclass in self-sabotage. The first hour of your day determines the caliber of your soul. Right now, you wake up and immediately surrender to the digital noise of 7 billion strangers. By checking your phone, you are training your brain to be reactive, anxious, and subservient. For the next 7 days, the first 60 minutes of your life are sacred. No screens, no emails, no distractions. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that the soul becomes dyed by the color of its thoughts. If you start your day looking at someone else's highlight reel, your soul becomes a shade of envy and inadequacy. Cleanse the fog. Sit in the silence. Own your mind before the world tries to buy it. If you can't win the battle against a piece of glass in your pocket, you've already lost the war. But your morning isn't the only place where you are leaking power. Because the way you speak to yourself is building a prison you'll never escape. You are your own worst oppressor. You use words like unlucky, tired, or incapable as if they are objective facts, but they are just excuses wrapped in silk. Every time you tell yourself you can't, you're castrating your own potential. The Stoic master Epictetus taught that it is not things that disturb us, but our interpretation of them. For these 7 days, you are forbidden from playing the victim. If something is hard, call it an opportunity. If you are tired, call it proof that you are working. The consequence of your inner dialogue is either a fortress or a grave. If you continue to speak to yourself like a loser, don't be surprised when life treats you like one. But your mind isn't just weakened by your words. It's the comfort you crave. It's actually a slow-acting poison for your discipline. You are obsessed with being comfortable, but comfort is where greatness goes to die. By avoiding everything that is difficult, you have made your spirit fragile and your willpower non-existent. You are like a muscle that never lifts a weight, useless when the real struggle arrives. Seneca advised us to set aside a certain number of days to practice poverty and hardship. For the next 7 days, I want you to lean into the friction. Take the cold shower, do the extra set, eat the meal you didn't crave. When you prove to yourself that you can endure physical and mental discomfort, the world loses its power to scare you. If If you keep choosing the easy path, your life will inevitably become hard. But there is a specific type of comfort that is even more deceptive. Because your habit of constant stimulation is actually a way to drown out the truth of who you've become. Your brain is a dumpster for other people's data. You spend every spare second scrolling, listening, or watching, terrified of what you might hear if you actually sat in silence. You are addicted to the dopamine hit of new information that you never actually use. Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, said that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. But he didn't mean you should fill them with garbage. For these 7 days, go on an information fast. No mindless podcasts, no endless feeds, no noise. The consequence of constant consumption is a mind that can no longer think for itself. If you don't stop letting the world scream into your ears, you will never hear your own intuition. But the noise isn't just coming from your devices, because the people you choose to surround yourself with are either sharpening your blade or rusting it. You are staying loyal to people who are comfortable with your failure. You think you're being a good friend, but you're actually just participating in a mutual suicide pact of mediocrity. If your circle spends more time discussing people than ideas, you are in a graveyard, not a community. Epictetus was blunt. The key is to keep company only with people who uplift you. For the next 7 days, observe your interactions. If a conversation leaves you feeling drained, cynical, or small, walk away. The consequence of staying in a toxic circle is that you eventually stop trying to escape it. If you keep protecting those who hold you back, you are choosing their feelings over your future. But even if you change your circle, your progress will stall if you don't fix your relationship with the clock. Because your habit of waiting for the right time is the most successful lie you've ever told. You are a thief, and you are stealing from your future self. You say tomorrow because it's a safe place where you can feel productive without actually doing the work. But tomorrow is a graveyard of dreams that never had the courage to breathe. The Stoic concept of hic et nunc, here and now, is your only reality. For these 7 days, if a task takes less than 5 minutes, do it immediately. If a hard conversation is needed, have it today. Action is the only language the universe respects. The consequence. You are currently trading your potential for a temporary feeling of relief. If you keep waiting for the perfect conditions, you will die with your best work still inside you. But there is one final habit that is the foundation of all your failures. Because your lack of evening reflection is why you keep making the same mistakes every single year. You are living on autopilot. You drift through your day reacting to fires you didn't start, and then you collapse into bed without a single thought about what went wrong. A life without review is a life without growth. Marcus Aurelius kept a journal not for the world, but for his own soul. For the next 7 days before you sleep, you must sit with your shadow. Ask yourself, what did I do well? Where did I act like a coward? What will I fix tomorrow? The consequence, if you don't audit your life, you are destined to repeat the same miserable loop until the day you die. If you keep avoiding the mirror, you are choosing to stay blind to your own self-destruction. The week of surgery is almost complete, but there is a final truth you must face, because the 7-day contract is about to end, and your real life is about to begin. The 7 days are not a suggestion. They are a baseline for a human being who actually respects themselves. You have felt the friction, you've seen the fog lift. Now you stand at the threshold of a choice. Go back to the sedative of your old life or keep the blade sharp. Stoicism is not a temporary fix, it is a permanent posture. The world wants you weak, distracted, and easy to control. By fixing these 7 habits, you have declared war on the version of you that was designed to lose. The consequence, if you stop now, you prove that your greatness was just a temporary mood. Do not let the fire die out. 7 days are over, but your discipline is just beginning. Wake up. Stay awake. The time for waiting is dead. You aren't tired because you're busy. You're tired because you're bleeding energy through 1,000 self-inflicted cuts. Your attention is your only real currency, yet you throw it into the trash every single day. Stoicism isn't about endurance, it's about elimination. Stop these 8 daily crimes now, or accept a life of exhaustion and mediocrity. The leaks are invisible, but the damage is fatal. It starts the second you wake up, because your first move of the day is actually a masterclass in self-betrayal. You wake up and immediately hand your brain to a machine. By scrolling before you breathe, you invite 1,000 opinions into your sacred space. Marcus Aurelius didn't have a smartphone, but he knew the soul is dyed by its thoughts. Your soul is currently a dull grey, stained by notifications and envy. Stop being a digital slave. Claim your first hour, or lose your entire day. If you can't master a piece of glass, you'll never master your fate. But the phone isn't your only master, because the way you seek approval is draining your spirit faster than any battery. You are living a life that isn't yours. Every time you look for a like or a nod, you hand over your keys to a stranger. Epictetus warned that if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish. Trying to please everyone is a full-time job that pays in burnout. Kill the need to be understood. Your energy is for building, not for explaining yourself to the small-minded. Stop begging for a seat at tables you don't even belong at. But there's a deeper drain inside your own mind, because the ghosts of your past are still eating your present alive. You are haunted by ghosts of your own making. Regret is a parasite that feeds on the energy you need for the day. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." By replaying your failures, you are punishing yourself for a crime that is already over. The past is a dead weight. Cut the rope. Forgive your younger self, and execute the work in front of you. If you keep looking back, you are guaranteed to crash into what's ahead. But even if you let go of the past, you're still at risk. Because the way you talk to yourself is more toxic than any enemy's insults. Your mind is a battlefield, and you're fighting for the wrong side. The insults you whisper to yourself would make you punch a stranger if they said them to you. Stoics know that the mind can be a kingdom or a prison. By calling yourself tired or unlucky, you are literally ordering your body to fail. Stop being your own bully. Speak to yourself with the cold, objective truth of a commander, not a victim. If you don't respect your own mind, the world will treat it like a doormat. But words aren't the only thing poisoning you. Because the fake dopamine you crave is making your willpower rot from the inside out. You are addicted to cheap thrills that leave you empty. Every mindless snack, every infinite scroll, every easy win is a withdrawal from your soul. Zeno taught that happiness is a good flow of life, but you are creating a stagnant swamp. You've traded your long-term legacy for 10 seconds of a chemical high. Reclaim your focus. Embrace the boredom. In the silence of nothing to do, your greatness is born. If you can't endure a moment of stillness, you are a slave to your impulses. But there is a specific type of movement that is just as dangerous as standing still. Because the habit of busy work is actually just a sophisticated way of running away. You're running in place and calling it progress. Filling your day with small tasks is just a coward's way of avoiding the big work. Marcus Aurelius asked himself, is this necessary? Most of what you do is not. It is just noise to drown out the fear of failure. Stop being busy. Start being effective. If it doesn't move the needle, it is a waste of your life force. Being exhausted from doing nothing that matters is the ultimate tragedy. But the hardest work isn't always doing something new. Because the weight you carry for others is actually a burden you were never meant to touch. You are a warehouse for problems that aren't yours. By absorbing the chaos of others, you are lighting yourself on fire to keep them warm. The Stoics were clear: focus only on what you can control. You cannot control their choices, their moods, or their self-destruction. Stop being an emotional dumpster. Protect your peace like it's your last drop of water in a desert. If you carry everyone's baggage, you will never have the strength to climb your own mountain. But there is one final habit that is the most dangerous of all. Because your obsession with the perfect future is exactly why you are failing right now. You are waiting for a life that doesn't exist. By obsessing over a future perfect version of yourself, you are murdering the person you are today. Seneca warned that while we wait for life, life passes. Your energy is trapped in a dream while your reality is rotting from neglect. Stop planning and start performing. The only ground you can stand on is right here, right now. If you keep living for someday, you will eventually wake up at the end of a life you never actually lived. The leaks are identified, the truth is out. But knowing is not enough, because a warrior without a final stand is just a spectator. The audit is over. You now see the holes in your armor and the blood on your hands. You can close this video and return to your comfortable decay, or you can choose to be reborn. Stoicism is not a philosophy of words, it is a philosophy of scars. Every time you say no to a distraction, you reclaim a piece of your soul. The consequence? If you ignore this, don't complain when life passes you by like a ghost. Stop bleeding, start building. The world has enough exhausted people. It needs you awake. Your new life starts the moment you refuse to be a slave to your own habits. Wake up. Stay sharp. Look at your life. You aren't tired because you're working too hard. You're tired because you're leaking energy like a rusted bucket. Every time you argue with a fool, every time you check your ex's profile, and every time you say yes when your soul is screaming no, you're handing out pieces of your life for free. The world is a vampire. It doesn't want your money. It wants your focus, your anger, and your peace. An invincible man is not someone who has more power. He is someone who refuses to waste what he already has. But here's the danger. While you're busy being polite to people who don't matter, your own goals are dying from neglect, and soon you won't have enough fuel left to save yourself. Silence is your primary shield. Most people feel the desperate need to explain themselves, to defend their honor against every minor insult. That is a peasant's trap. When you argue with someone who isn't on your level, you've already lost. You've lowered your vibration to match their chaos. The disciplined man knows that silence is the ultimate power move. It leaves your enemy guessing and keeps your energy contained within your own walls. Stop giving away your internal state for the price of a comment or a look. But remember this: if you don't learn to control your tongue now, your emotions will eventually betray you in a room where the stakes are life and death. And by then, it will be too late to stay quiet. Every notification is a micro theft of your destiny. You wake up and immediately surrender your brain to the opinions of strangers and the curated lies of influencers. You're letting thousands of people live in your head rent-free before you've even brushed your teeth. The invincible man treats his attention like a high-security vault. He does not scroll, he executes. He does not consume, he creates. If you cannot spend 1 hour in silence without a screen, you are not a free man. You are a slave to a circuit board. But here is the threat. The longer you stay plugged into the AC of mind, the more your original thoughts wither away until you become just another hollow echo in a room full of noise. Loyalty to a sinking ship is not a virtue. It's a suicide pact. You are keeping people in your life out of habit, guilt, or a false sense of history. But look at them. Do they inspire you, or do they drain you? If your friends only want to talk about the past, gossip about others, or complain about their bad luck, they are anchors dragging you to the bottom of the ocean. The invincible man performs a brutal surgery on his social circle. He cuts away the rot before it spreads to his own heart. It feels cold. It feels lonely. But if you don't find the courage to walk away from those who dim your light, you will wake up 10 years from now wondering why you never reached your potential, only to realize you were carrying their dead weight the entire time. The first hour of your day is the rudder that steers your soul. Most people start their morning in a state of reaction, answering emails, checking news, responding to the world's demands. You have surrendered your throne before the sun is even up. The invincible man claims the morning as his private sanctuary. No noise, no distractions, just cold water, deep breathing, and the pursuit of his own mission. If you win the morning, you win the war. You build a momentum that no midday crisis can derail. But beware. If you allow the chaos of the outside world to penetrate your first 60 minutes, you are essentially inviting a thief into your home to steal your peace before you've even had a chance to use it. Your body is the only vessel you have for your ambition. If you allow it to become soft, your mind will follow. Physical weakness is an open invitation for mental exhaustion. When you eat garbage and avoid the gym, you are essentially telling your subconscious that you are a person who accepts low standards. The invincible man treats his body like a temple and a weapon. He pushes himself to the point of discomfort every single day, because he knows that if he can master his physical pain, the world's psychological games can't touch him. Your health is your ultimate energy reserve. But don't ignore the warning. If you don't make time for your wellness now, you'll be forced to make time for your illness later. And a sick man has only one goal. A goal that will replace every dream you ever had. Your final discipline is the most lethal. Living by your own code, not the world's expectations. Most people are like dry leaves, blown in whichever direction the wind of public opinion decided to blow today. They have no core, no gravity. They're exhausting themselves trying to be everything to everyone. The invincible man is anchored. He has a set of non-negotiable principles that dictate his every move. He doesn't look for a map. He is the map. When you stop asking for permission, you stop wasting energy on doubt. You become a force of nature. here's the final truth. Once you become truly invincible, you will realize that you are alone at the top. The question is no longer, can they stop me? But can I live with the man I have become in the silence? Have you ever tried too hard in a conversation and felt it die anyway? You talk more, you explain more, you try to be interesting, and somehow it feels lighter, thinner. Then someone else walks in. They say less, but everyone leans in. I've noticed this for years. Presence beats performance. In this video, I'll share 6 forbidden phrases that quietly attract anyone. The 4th one is the most misunderstood. Most people think it pushes others away. It actually pulls them closer. If you keep performing, people will never truly connect with you. But when you speak from curiosity, honesty, empathy, silence, appreciation, and boundaries, become magnetic without trying. Let me show you how. There is something disarming about these 3 words. I don't know.
It's honest.
Most people are afraid to say them. They think uncertainty lowers their value. So they guess, they pretend, they perform confidence. But I've noticed something powerful. When you calmly say, I don't know, people relax. If you keep pretending to know everything, people will feel the tension, even if they can't explain it. Socrates built his entire philosophy on this. True wisdom begins with admitting what you do not know. When you say it without shame, you signal honesty, you signal strength, and suddenly you become safe to talk to. People start opening up. But the real shift happens when you master something even deeper than honesty. Most conversations die because people wait for their turn to speak. They don't listen, they reload. I used to do this too, thinking attraction came from saying impressive things. But here's what I've noticed. When you look at someone and say, tell me more, something shifts. If you keep talking about yourself, people may smile, but they won't feel seen. And without feeling seen, they never feel connected. The Stoics valued attention. To truly listen is to respect another person's inner world. When you say, tell me more, slowly, sincerely, you create space, and space feels rare. People start leaning in. They begin revealing deeper layers. You become associated with relief. But attraction deepens even further when you add something most people avoid entirely. Most arguments don't start because people disagree. They start because people feel dismissed. I've noticed this again and again. Someone shares an opinion, and instead of understanding, we correct, we counter, we compete. But when you pause and say, that makes sense, walls drop. If you keep trying to win every conversation, people may respect your logic, but they will never feel close to you. The Stoics taught emotional discipline. You don't have to agree with everything, but you can acknowledge perspective. When you say, that makes sense, you validate emotion without surrendering your ground, and suddenly you become someone safe to disagree with. But the real magnetic shift happens with the most misunderstood move of all. Yes, the 4th phrase, is silence. Most people panic here. They rush to fill the gap. They think silence means awkward. I used to think that too. But I've learned something powerful. When you stay quiet after someone speaks, you give their words weight. If you keep filling every pause, people will never feel the depth of what they just said, and they will never feel your depth either. The Stoics practiced restraint. Speech was intentional, silence was strength. When you hold eye contact and let a few seconds pass, people start reflecting, they elaborate, they lean in. You become grounded, centered, and presence becomes undeniable. But attraction grows even stronger when you express something even rarer. Most people crave recognition more than advice. They want to feel valued. But appreciation is rare. Real appreciation. Not flattery, not exaggeration. I've noticed something simple. When you look at someone and say, "I appreciate that," their posture changes. If you only criticize or stay neutral, people may respect you, but they won't feel warmth toward you. And without warmth, attraction stays shallow. The Stoics believed in gratitude as strength. To recognize virtue in others sharpens your own character. When you express appreciation calmly, specifically, you signal emotional maturity. You signal abundance. People start associating you with affirmation, not pressure. And yet, true magnetism requires one final boundary most are afraid to set. This is the one people fear the most, because they think boundaries repel. I used to avoid saying this. I didn't want to seem difficult, so I tolerated things I shouldn't have. But here's what I learned. When you calmly say, "I'm not comfortable with that," respect shifts instantly. If you keep saying yes to avoid tension, people may enjoy your company, but they won't value your presence. And without value, attraction fades. The Stoics taught self-governance. You control your responses. You protect your character. A boundary delivered without anger is powerful. It says, "I respect myself." And when you respect yourself, people start adjusting around you. Not because you demand it, but because you embody it. Now let me bring this all together. Let me bring this together.
I'm so glad to be here today.
These 6 phrases are not tricks. They're character signals. I don't know. Honesty. Tell me more.
What a beautiful
Curiosity.
day.
That makes sense.
The energy
Empathy.
here is incredible.
Silence. Presence. I appreciate that. Gratitude. I'm not comfortable with that. Boundaries. Most people try to add more to be attractive. More words, more energy, more performance. But here's the paradox. When you subtract what's unnecessary, people finally notice who you are. If you keep performing, connection stays shallow. But when you embody these traits, people start feeling calm around you. And calm is magnetic. Try one of these phrases in the next 24 hours. Comment which one you'll practice. And if this helped you, like and subscribe to Stoic tomorrow.